Okay, everybody. So with the recent release of Jonathan Majors, I mean, I think we have a lot to kind of discuss in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where it's going to go moving forward. Now, if you guys aren't entirely aware, I'm pretty sure you guys are aware by now. I'm just going to give you kind of my take on everything and where I think things are going to start to land as we go through. Right now, Jonathan Majors verdict came back. He was found guilty within like no time. Disney and Marvel went ahead and let Jonathan Majors go. So our big main bad, Jonathan Majors, who was going to play Kang, is no longer part of the universe. He's no longer there. Now, this can go several different ways. 'Cause a lot of people might be going like, "What? Well, what's next for the MCU?" Because we got Avengers: Secret Wars, Avengers: Kang Dynasty, which I always thought was ridiculous. Why are you going to put two of those back to back? Just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Secret Wars kind of goes into the multiverse part of it, so I guess it kind of makes sense. I take that back. But then we got Blade, Thunderbolts, a Fantastic Four movie, Captain America, and Deadpool 3. These top movies right here, we don't know when these things are coming out. Like Blade hasn't even started filming yet. Fantastic Four hasn't started filming yet. Captain America has been filming, but due to the strikes and stuff, that kind of went on a hiatus. Thunderbolts, I'm not entirely sure if that started filming yet, but at least one, two, three, four out of the top six are not even filming yet. So we don't know when we're going to see these movies. And to be honest with you, I still think they should scrap Blade. Like, if you don't have a good concept for Blade, just go ahead and scrap Blade. Out of all these movies, taking the two Avengers movies out, the only one I really care to see is Captain America. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Fantastic Four, because Fantastic Four has been absolutely fumbled, for the longest time. So I'm absolutely curious to see what they're going to do when it comes to Fantastic Four. But the Kang Dynasty is the one with the big question mark right now, because we've been building for the past, the past phase or so of Jonathan Majors. He first debuted in Loki season 1, very interesting character. Then he made his big grand debut in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and that movie fell flat. That movie absolutely fell flat at the box office. Nobody cared. And at that point, I think Marvel really kind of needed to look and evaluate like what's going on. I don't think Kang is hitting with the audience like they think they should. There's a reason why, in my opinion, that Kang isn't registering like Thanos was, because we had Thanos' first major appearance was at the end credit scene of Avengers, the very first Avengers movie. Like you had this gigantic movie that no one ever thought we were going to see an Avengers movie. Like, not even fathomable at that time. And Marvel pulled it off. And at the end credit scene, you just see this very threatening force that is Thanos. And from there, they started planting the seeds of the Infinity Gems, the Infinity Stones, all over the place. And then Thanos made this giant appearance in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Ronan was the main villain, but Thanos was the villain that was looking over everything, right? And we started realizing he was the reason why all this stuff was happening, and he felt like a very, very threatening force. Whereas Kang's first appearance is on a Disney Plus show that a lot of people didn't even watch. Only the hardcore people watched. Most of the people that saw the Avengers movies didn't see Loki. That's not me speculating. That's just a fact. Okay, that's absolutely a fact. Then what happens is you bring in Kang in the Ant-Man 3 movie, Ant-Man Quantumania, and Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, and that movie didn't do financially well. And that was because up until that point, you have fumbled the ball with so many different characters. Like, can someone please explain to me why they felt it was a good idea that right after Endgame, we're going to hit you with a brand new character that no one has ever heard of? Why was Shang-Chi, right? And I like the movie. I really like the movie. But that doesn't, just because I like it doesn't mean it's a good business decision to put out Shang-Chi as your first movie into your new phase. Now, you could throw in Black Widow and say Black Widow was technically the first movie in the next phase. However, Black Widow was a prequel movie, and it didn't do anything. And that movie should have been a team-up movie with Hawkeye, and it should have happened in phase 2 or phase 3. Why it started phase 4 is beyond me, but I'm taking Black Widow out because it was a prequel movie, and the only thing that movie did to push anything forward was put Lawrence Pugh's character in there, and eventually that moved into Hawkeye and all this other crap. So that's irrelevant. The first thing is Shang-Chi, okay? And let's not bullshit a bullshitter here, right? Regardless of how I feel about the movie and how you may feel about the movie, we can all sit here and agree that movie is completely unnecessary. Why would Marvel, up to this point, have all these characters that people know, Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor? These are also B and C level characters in Marvel Comics back at the time these movies came out, right? These movies catapulted these characters into a household name, but people still knew who Iron Man and Captain America was. The Incredible Hulk, the Hulk was probably the most well-known character out of all those, but people still knew who these characters were. Nobody knew who Shang-Chi was. You had to be a sweaty comic book fan to know who Shang-Chi is. Okay, so up to that point, Marvel has been playing it safe with Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and then boom, that's your phase. And then as they started going, they started sprinkling in different things. Like, oh, we're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a huge gamble, but it paid off, right? But they also introduced Thanos and everything, so it was almost like you had to see what was going to happen because you got to see with this Thanos character and what he was going to do. And then they started doing, like, Black Panther, but they were smart. They're like, hey, we're going to throw Black Panther into Civil War. We're going to introduce him in the Civil War. And then that's going to get people super hyped and they're going to go see Black Panther. Black Panther broke all kinds of records. And then they did the same thing with the new Spider-Man, put him in Civil War. And then they gave him his own movie, right? And then they started like getting like sort of experimental, like, okay, we're going to try Doctor Strange. You know, they name dropped him a couple times in like Winter Soldier and stuff like that. You know, so they were planting the seeds. Nowhere in the first 3 phases have we heard of anything about these 10 rings or Shang-Chi. And here's the problem. Why did Disney decide we're going to go ahead and put Shang-Chi to basically start phase 4? This is where the first fumble started. Why? Why do that? Why not give us a Sam Wilson, Captain America, and a Bucky Winter Soldier movie? Right? Why not give us that? Why not give us that movie? Why not start off with the big hitters? Like, why not put Rhodey in the Iron Man role and give us an Iron Man 4 with War Machine? Or give us a Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson? Characters that are already established, that people that are household names, they're household names for people that saw the Avengers movie. So more people are going to be like, hey man, I want to go see the new Captain America movie. No, instead people are like, hey, we're going to go see Shang-Chi? Who's that? I don't know. They just introduced him. And here's where the problem lies. You want to know the reason why Shang-Chi was the movie that launched the phase 4? Do you want to know the hard truth of why? Because they wanted to capitalize on the Chinese box office market. That is why. They saw Black Panther blow up and said, oh, the black culture will come out and support this movie if we give it a good budget and put a lot of time in it. And that movie was phenomenal. I love Black Panther. In my top 10 favorite MCU movies. Hands down, phenomenal. Second one, just as good. Love both of those movies. Right? And the black community came out and supported the movie. Disney and Marvel saw dollar signs and said, hey, let's do this with the Chinese community now. So they made this whole movie. And around the same time, they did the same thing with Mulan. Because they wanted to capitalize on that Chinese money. China has a massive box office. Right? I believe it's like second to the United States box office. Like, it's a huge box office. They wanted to capitalize on that Chinese market. So what they did was they brought in Shang-Chi and they did the Shang-Chi movie. No one here in the United States, the average person had no idea who the fuck Shang-Chi was. Right? They never mentioned these 10 rings or anything with this character. And you launch the next phase with a character that wasn't introduced in the Avengers, was not introduced in a previous movie, because they wanted to capitalize on the Chinese market, and it blew up in their face because China blocked the movie. They made the movie not available in their country. China banned the movie, so all this effort to try to capitalize on the money all fell on his face because China ended up blocking out the movie. And I believe Mulan might have been banned too. I'm not entirely sure. But all the reasoning behind putting this movie together was irrelevant at the end of the day. It wasn't about telling a story. No way did Shang-Chi push the narrative forward in any way. We haven't even seen this dude in like 4 or 5 years, right? We haven't seen Shang-Chi in like 3 to 4 years. How long ago would that movie come out? Like 2021, 2020? I'm not entirely sure the year it came out. I want to say 2021. So it's been like a good 3 years that movie came out. We haven't even heard from this dude since. You know, they had the end credit scene. Shang-Chi will return. When? When I'm dead? He's going to come back when I'm dead? What's the matter here? You know, so they made this movie for the sole purpose of only capitalizing on the Chinese market, which fell on his face because China said, ain't going to happen. Nah. You know, that's what they said. They blocked it. You know, so the whole purpose, their greedy purpose of making this character, instead of giving us a Cap 4 or another movie, right? Instead of giving us Iron Man 4 or Cap 4 or doing the Hawkeye Black Widow movie, right? They go to Disney Plus, right? These shows that push the narrative forward. Why was Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus? Why? Makes no sense, right? Why was Hawkeye on Disney Plus? Makes no sense, right? Miss Marvel, a character people at least know, went to Disney Plus when that could have benefited from a movie. You have the Marvel name in there, right? That could have benefited from a movie. Nah, Disney Plus. But yet you give us movies like Shang-Chi, regardless of the quality of the film, the reason the movie was made was for a very greedy and selfish purpose, and it fell on deaf's ear because it did not work. You wanted to catch lightning in a bottle again, what you did with the black community and Black Panther with the Asian community, and it didn't work. It fell on deaf ears. It fell on deaf's ears. Deaf, not deaf. And then you fumbled once again. The Eternals. Nobody knows who the Eternals are. You have to, just like Shang-Chi, you have to be sweaty of the sweatiest to know who the Eternals are. And then the Eternals just did not work. I liked the Eternals. I thought it was a phenomenal film. I enjoyed the hell out of it. But I also am smart enough to realize it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. But what was the whole purpose of the Eternals other than adding all these diverse characters? We're going to have a whole diverse cast, men, women, black, white, Asian, gay, lesbian. We're going to add, the story's irrelevant. And if you think the story's not irrelevant, how come there's a celestial hanging out of Earth's core and we haven't even addressed it yet? Right? Like, this was the time to bring in like the cameo or reference Silver Surfer and Galactus and all this stuff. Like, the Celestials have a huge part in the MCU. You could build upon that in this phase. No, we're just going to have this whole thing. It's going to be a slow burn movie. We're going to have a cameo from Blade at the end that doesn't pay off, years later. And we're going to have a Celestial with his hand hanging out of the Earth's crust, which should ruin the whole orbit and everything, but we're not going to address that. It wasn't until much, much later on when we got Black Panther 2 and Doctor Strange 2 and all this stuff that we started getting the movies that they should have started the phase with. But by that time, a lot of the fan base has been falling off. I liked The Marvels. I thought The Marvels was a decent film. Why was it not a direct sequel to Captain Marvel? Why was it not called Captain Marvel 2 and The Marvels? Why? And not only that, you introduced 2 characters in that movie that you had to see the Disney Plus show. So a lot of people are looking at it like, well, I didn't see the show, I'm not going to go see the movie. Marvel continues to fumble the ball. And no way in any of this were they even pushing the Kang story other than No Way Home with the multiverse, Loki when he first appeared, and Doctor Strange with the multiverse. That's really it. It was nothing like they did with Thanos. You look at the setup of the first 3 phases of the MCU, and you look at phase 4 and what we got so far, phase 5, and it looks like someone let their kid come to work to play, and they just started going through the whole script and messing it up. It's like you had this nice, neat script of phase 1, 2, and 3 and this outline of what you want to do. And on the other side, you had the next 3 phases, phase 4, 5, and 6, and you let your kid come in to play, and they just kind of ransack the entire pile because it made no sense. Nothing in these past 4 phases have made any sense. And I actually like a lot of these movies and a lot of these things, you know. So I'm not harping on like, oh no, I don't like it, right? I thought the Marvels was good. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was good. I did not like Ant-Man Quantumania as much as a lot of people, but I thought it was decent. I think the only fumble here is Thor Love and Thunder. That was the biggest fumble. But look, why do we have a Shang-Chi? Why? That's irrelevant. Look at these look at this as your phase 4 lineup. Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternal, Spider-Man No Way Home knocked it out of the park, and Multiverse of Madness I thought was pretty decent. And then you go down here and you look at these bangers. Captain America, Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange. Like, you're knocking it out of the park with bangers here. And then you go up here and you're like, why? Because you wanted to capitalize on Chinese money? You wanted to capitalize on diversity? You know, diversity is fine if you have a story in place. It has to make sense in the context of what you're doing. If they had a plan, then let's see the plan lay out. You introduced, Thanos' brother at the end of Eternals. No payoff. It's been years now. When the Eternals came out? The Eternals came out in 2021. So it's been 3 years, no payoff. Shang-Chi, 3 years, no payoff. So what's going on here? What are we talking about here? We no payoff for any of these movies. Where it wasn't like that back in the day with these previous Marvel movies. So there's a big problem. And then one of the biggest problems is now when you start to try to get something rolling, then you find your lead big bad completely out now. He did some stupid stuff. I don't think it was as bad, as serious as everybody makes it out to be. Nonetheless, he broke the law. He didn't do something very good. And it shouldn't have never happened. Shame on him. Now he has to suffer the consequences, and he was let go by Marvel. He's probably going to get fined out the ass. I don't think he's going to see any jail time. And Marvel let him go. So now we lose Kang. So going back to the original reason why I did this video, what does Marvel do now? I don't think reboot is the answer. Reboot is stupid. You have way too many characters, right? You still have the X-Men that's untapped potential. You still have Fantastic Four that's untapped potential. You have a plethora of different ways you can continue the MCU without rebooting it, right? If you want a new Captain America, guess what? You got Papa Doc. Fuck the clock. You got Papa Doc. You got Sam Wilson that can take on the Captain America mantle. If for some reason that doesn't work out, you got Winter Soldier that can take over that mantle too. You have Ironheart, who you introduced that can be the new Iron Man. Just make a movie with her and Rhodey and like have some mentoring going on. Don't make it a Disney Plus show, right? You have characters that can take over the mantle. The biggest problem, other than Marvel not having a clear plan and being greedy with foreign money, one of the biggest problem was that they let their big players go too early, right? You let Iron Man and Captain America leave in the same movie. No, you should have been like, okay, this is gonna be where Tony exits out. Cap, give us another movie or two, or at least a cameo in another movie or two, and then you can exit out. You never swap out your roster like that. Right? Can you imagine a sports team and it's almost like the Chicago Bulls, right? Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan left. The last Chicago Bulls championship, after that championship, they wanted to kind of redo the whole thing, but they wanted to bring Michael back. Michael said no. That team completely rebuilt after that. They lost Michael, they lost Pippen, they lost Dennis Rodman, all that. And it's been years and they have not recovered. It's been 25, 30 years and they still have not recovered since that point? And we're coming up on 30 years, and they have not recovered. So why would you let your big hitters all exit out at that one point? I know you wanted to do a great love letter. That's fine. But we see old-ass Captain America at the end of Endgame. Finish that story. Give us the Captain America 4 with old-ass Captain America in it. Why did you do a Disney Plus show? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't think rebooting is the right way to do it. I think what they need to do is stay on course. They need to stay on course, and they just need to start make better business decisions. Go back. For some reason my stupid thing is not even working here. Go back to what got you to the dance. That's what you want to do. You want to go back to what got you to the dance. And in the case of Marvel, you want to go back to simplifying stuff. You want to go back to simplifying stuff. You want to go back to making sure that these characters have purpose and everything moves the needle forward. That's what you want to do, right? Go back to where it was very simplified, right? Like you have your characters, you tell the story that you want to tell. Not all these movies were bangers. Not all of these movies were bangers, but they all pushed the narrative forward, right? And I think Marvel really lost that when it came to Phase 4 because they took their eye off the ball and they wanted to worry about like foreign money, Chinese money, making sure there's representation and all that stuff. And now the box office is falling apart. Yes, losing Jonathan Majors is bad, but you can move forward now. Start telling that Celestial storyline. Get Galactus involved. Make Galactus the next big threat. Bring Doom in. Doom should have been your next big threat before Galactus. Bring Doom in. Have Doom be the Loki. Loki kind of like was the villain in Avengers, but he kind of overseen everything in the first 3 phases under Thanos. And we saw like how he was kind of being like the puppet master. Make Doom that character and then start introducing that throughout the movies. He should have been introduced in Black Panther 2. They didn't do that. And then move forward and then have Galactus start showing up and let that be the next big threat. That's what they need to do. But anyway, guys, this video ran on way too long. I appreciate all you guys if you guys stayed through the whole video and listened. I had a lot of stuff I really wanted to say about this, but I want to thank all of you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Please smash that like button and subscribe for all future content. And until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that's my opinion. Later, guys.